Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, good morning and welcome to another edition of the JP Peterson Show here live from Tallahassee. Live from Tallahassee, Florida State, taking on Miami in a matchup of 1 versus 2. All right, not today.
I don't think they're playing a lot of football on that field right now.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's not. We're doing it from the inside. We're going to do it outside overlooking Doak Campbell Stadium, but the construction next door is really loud. So that wouldn't you wouldn't be able to hear the dulcet tones of my wonderful voice.
Exactly.
So here we are. Good morning to you, Tim Ham, from our Dallas affiliate. How are you?
Good morning, sports.
Good morning, sports. There's so much to get to. I'm going to all right. We've been futzing with this camera all day.
Still producing on the air.
We're just going to leave it like this, right?
Looks fun, yeah. Looks good.
Let's leave it like this. I thought we were getting the up the nose shot. You don't want that. We have, we have got so much to get to. So here's what's on the menu today. We got some Bucs talk, OTAs again today. We'll see if Hassan Reddick shows up. Not that this is a big deal, but, I think the less he shows, the bigger deal it is. Is that fair? Yeah. So we'll get to that. Also, the Rays back home against the Rangers, Timmy's Rangers. So we have a little gentleman's bet for the weekend series, series. Sure. Yeah.
If the Rays lose, you have to shave your head. If the Rangers lose, I have to shave my head.
Okay, that's a no. That's a hard no for me. There's such little left here. I mean, let's just be honest. So no, we're not going to do that. But we'll come up with some libation of some sort I will send you some Cigar City High Life.
Okay.
You're an IPA fan?
Yes. Yeah. Love IPA.
And if the Rangers lose, then you have to send me some type of wonderful. Bring me a nice Texas IPA.
Oh, we've got some very nice local IPAs here in North Texas.
Good. All right, so we're good. Yeah. FSU baseball heading to Corvallis for the regional. TJ Reed's going to join us. We're going to talk a little college baseball. I'm not sure how this whole thing works, Timmy. Why are we not reseeding the teams? Like, once again, some policy
argument for a long time
screwing FSU, which seems to be a daily occurrence. But anyway, speaking of Florida State, we took a tour yesterday of the new Doak Campbell Stadium, which will be ready come August 30th, or it better be. Look, it's well along, and you'll see the pictures. I got great pictures and video. They just put the turf down. It's been a dirt field for the entire construction, so the turf is down, so it actually looks like a football stadium now. So we'll give you a tour of that. Inside the new locker room as well. The new locker room is just insane. They have a new football-only facility that is supposed to be coming online in September, so we have a little outside view of that. So we'll we got a really cool tour yesterday, and the numbers that I was told about what they're selling these suites for and these premium seating. Wow. And they're all mostly sold despite a 2-10 season. I was like, I would not want to be the dude calling up Mr. Booster X going, hey, your seats are now $1,250, but you got a chair back.
Yikes.
And a club to go into. So yes, I know they were $125 last year, but just think of the nice air-conditioned club that you get to walk into. And the nice chair back seat you get to sit into. And they're going to, I guess, probably lose about 10,000 total seats in the stadium, but it's going to be a premium seating bonanza for those who will pay the price.
Do people who spend that much money on their tickets, we've kind of talked about this before. I used to be a season ticket holder for the Stars, and I found out very quickly there's like 2 levels of season ticket holders. Season ticket holders that have all the money and they don't care. They're doing it anyway, regardless of the benefits or the whatever you get with it or anything. And then those of like I was who can buy the season tickets, but then you got to sell some off in order to pay for it every year, and then at one point it's going to get priced out of your ability to do that, But the guys like that are buying college football season tickets, those guys just don't care, right? Like they're They're going to buy him anyway.
And most of them probably won't even go to 3 or 4 games. They'll probably go to four games of their choosing, and maybe just give the other tickets away because it doesn't really matter. But they got to be in. They got to be in. They have to have access because when Alabama and Florida State play, they got to have access. And for at least 12 people who bought the $8 million boxes, which I will show you.
Why do we not have one of those suites at FanStream Sports over there?
I think we know the answer to that question. But anybody who would like to invest, I could get a good deal on some premium seating at Florida State. So if you'd like to jump up and invest in the FanStream Sports growing network, just email me, jp@thejppetersonshow.com, and we'll work out some nice, beautiful premium seating for you at Florida State. So we're going to get to that. Wander Franco's trial started yesterday, and there is a shocking development that I just learned about that was not in the Times story that I read earlier, but there's a shocking development we'll get to. Yanni Gourde signs with the Lightning for 6 years. So a lifetime extension for Yanni Gourde. At 33 years old, he signs a 6-year deal, which obviously they plan on, as the cap goes up, voiding years at the end, that he will be infirmed in a home. 6 years. We got some thoughts on that, so we'll get into it. So lots to get
33, to. He could play till he's 40.
Can he?
Probably not.
Can he?
Probably not.
With that small frame of his, coming off another injured season. He had 13 assists and 1 goal in the final 21 games. Said he took about 3 weeks to get his legs under him after he came right back from the hernia surgery. Mm-hmm. So I don't think last year was a very good representation of what he can give the Lightning. At least I hope not. Because I'll be honest, I was not for re-signing Yanni Gourde. I didn't think we saw enough, and I don't think he's. I'm looking for power forwards. I'm not looking for smallish effort type guys. We got a lot of those.
You need to be able to play against the Panthers. Can Yanni Gourde be effective against the Panthers?
I didn't see it. He had 1 assist in 5 games. Said he hurt his ring finger, and that really affected his play. So we have to take him at his word. I got to kind of take off my Lightning hat and listen. Julien Brisebois knows what the hell he's doing. Let's just be honest. He knows a hell of a lot more about the situation than I do, and he knows what he's doing, and I trust him implicitly. But just from my very untrained eye, I think what we saw was not enough to warrant an extension, and not necessarily what this team, I think, is looking for. But again, he knows a hell of a lot more than I do. Gourde's a very versatile player. He brings value. There's no question about that. He brings effort. He brings that type of tenacity that you need. And I think Julien Brisebois would probably be the first one to tell you what we saw last year is not representative of what he expects the rest of the way. So I'm going to, take him at his word that he knows exactly what's going on with Yanni, feels like he's going to be better and more prepared for the next season. And, and we'll ride with it. The 6 years, obviously, I'm joking about that. They don't, obviously plan on, he's not going to play for this team till 39 years old. I would expect maybe 4 years tops. 4 years tops.
Man, maybe.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot that goes into these contracts that I frankly just don't understand. These are the long ones that they offered Stamkos and Killorn that they clearly were not going to play till the end of, but it's a way to give them more total money in a package and keep them for the next few years. And, you're kind of buying out years now for future, which is what they should be doing. You have the core right now. You should be delaying everything as long as you can, as long as you possibly can. This is like a Tom Brady situation. Yeah. You have a Stanley Cup core winning team right now. You have that. You have the ability to do that. And people can argue with me because of the first round exits, but we've talked about the context of that. You lost to the Panthers, who are a freaking wagon. And look what they've done through the rest of the playoffs. Just obliterated everyone. The Lightning very well may be the second best team in the Eastern Conference. So, if you want to go blow that up, you're an idiot. You're become the New York Rangers. Okay? We're way smarter than that. We're way smarter than that. So yes, this organization knows exactly what they're doing. I have all the faith in the world in Julien Brisebois. If he thinks Yanni Gourde is an important piece to the puzzle, then I'm going to say, yep, you know what you're doing. Now, there's other places I might not do that. You know, I think at this point, as much as we believe in Eric Neander, there's been some decisions over the last few years where you got to raise an eyebrow and say, hey, I'm not on board with this. I'm not on board with this. Of course, and with the caveat, as we always do with Neander, okay, he's working with two hands tied behind his back. Can't add any significant salary. So when he goes out and makes trades and makes moves, 80% of the really good players in the league are off the board. You tried getting a return on investment without 80% of the league on the board, right? So, but that being said, I it is what it is. I think we should be using that money to add power forwards, but again, he knows a hell of a lot more about it than I do. And Yanni, we've seen him be extremely effective. Coach Cooper loves him. JBB loves him. So what the hell do I know? It's like, I'm going to go with them before I go with my thoughts, just to be quite totally transparent and candid. They know what they're doing. We'll be fine. Yeah, and as James says, Yanni's coming off an injury. Okay, I can pop this up. Yeah. Yanni's coming off an injury. I think next season will be night and day better than Yanni. I think you're right. And I think more than that, I think that's what JBB and John Cooper think. And again, they're the ones that count. Know a hell of a lot better than me. All right, so this Wander Franco story that just popped up. Actually, it's from yesterday. Somebody just sent it to me. Hector Gomez is the man following the trial, and so he tweeted out yesterday. I'm going to see if I can find this. That basically Wander's, or I'm sorry, the father of the victim has yesterday in the pretrial motion or preliminary hearing basically recanted or removed his complaint, that he's withdrawing his complaint. Now, I don't pretend to know what the hell's going on in this judicial system. I just don't know. If something like that happened in the United States and the state was not willing to continue the charges, well, then the case would be dropped. Mm-hmm. The case would be dead. So, or the state would pick it up. So I think there's two ways that could go. So yeah, so Hector Gomez says, Wander Franco's update: the father of the minor who was allegedly sexually exploited by Wander Franco formally withdrew the complaint against him, claiming it was all a matter of, quote, misunderstandings and manipulation. The surprising decision was announced during the preliminary hearing in the Puerto Plata Judicial District Court. And this is Hector Gomez, who is a baseball insider, director of communications down in the Dominican Republic. So this guy is on site. He has 108,000 followers. So he's clearly a very credible reporter here. So this seems to be a major development in the case. Now, the judge delayed the case until Thursday, where they say they're going to start corroborating the prosecution's evidence. So I think it's weird. I would guess that a 2 or 3 month trial is delayed until Thursday when it just started on Monday, and maybe it's because of this development and they have to decide whether they're going forward with the case. I don't know. So again, it's a lot of stuff I don't understand, but according to Hector Gomez, this is a major development in the case. So moving forward, if the charges are dropped, now what? Because
this thing doesn't just go away.
No, the $160 million contract doesn't just
go away. Yeah.
And then the Rays. So then the Rays have to decide: are we bringing Wander Franco back? And here, becomes a moral and ethical question for the team. Yes, evidently on a technicality, he's going to get off. And listen, again, this is a culture that, how should we say, turns a blind eye to sex tourism. I think we can, we can say that.
Sure.
It's not like this is not a prevalent thing in the Dominican Republic. Hey, it's a prevalent thing in America. I hate to say it, but child trafficking and human trafficking is prevalent in this country as well. So I'm not. Listen, if you're having relationships with a 14-year-old and you're knowingly doing it, that's gross. That's disgusting.
Child.
That's awful. That is not something that I think an organization like the Rays wants to bring back, right? That's not something that's okay. But a man also has his day in court. He claims that he never had Wander, and the young girl, according to the testimony, claimed that they never had sexual relations. I mean, this is not something I really want to talk about on the show, but it means a lot to what's going on with the Rays. And the fact of the matter is we don't know all the details. We don't know all the facts of the case. We know that there have been financial transactions from Wander Franco to the mother. The mother clearly was selling her daughter, which is another common practice in the Dominican Republic. So, I mean, what are we to make of this whole case? And again, at first blush, we're all just like, dude, you're with a 14-year-old for 8 months, according to some of the. But again, we don't know what's true and what's not true. We don't know that. We don't know. We think we know, but we don't know. So it's and as far as the Major League Baseball Players Association and baseball goes, now they will lay down penalties when there is no penalties given by the courts system.
Right.
They have suspended players. Obviously, Trevor Bauer's situation, other players. So what does baseball do? They evidently have done their own investigation. So what are they going to suspend him? And what happens to the contract? Does the Major League Baseball Players Association go to bat, pardon the pun, for Wander Franco and his $160 million contract? And if the Rays have to pay that contract and don't have the services of one Wander Franco, that's going to hurt them dramatically in terms of being able to compete. So there's a lot at stake here in this trial and its outcome and how it's handled by Major League Baseball and how it's handled by the Rays. And to an extension, whatever, if there are new owners, and I believe there will be, are they going to be on the hook for $160 million and for a player that they are not going to be able to have on their team and can't trade? Or maybe somebody will trade for him. Will somebody trade for him? Will somebody else decide to look the other way? These are all questions I don't know the answer to. I don't know, but they're legitimate questions when it comes to the future of this franchise, and very important questions when it comes to the future of this franchise. What really, really sucks is the fact that dude could be playing shortstop for the Rays, and he's a phenom. He's a phenom. That was the plan. And when you find somebody like that, especially when you're in the Rays situation, and that contract, as big as it is for the Rays, is nothing. It's minuscule for a star player in baseball. This could have been such a huge, but can you imagine Wander Franco in the middle of this lineup that's starting to get hot? I mean, my Lord. I mean, take Taylor Wall's 130 average or whatever he's hitting and move that up to, 315 with power and Gold Glove defensive ability as well. Holy shizbang. I mean, that totally changes the look of this team. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. And I don't know where it's going, and I don't know how it's going to turn out. And I'll be interested in what you guys think from a fan standpoint. Could you stomach having Wander Franco back on this team?
If he's not been charged with anything, convicted of anything, again, if he's in jail and this thing comes out and it's actually happened, that's a whole different story. But
well, yeah, of course.
Here's the problem. Is that we may never know. I'll tell you right now, he's not getting convicted of anything. It's not going to happen.
I've never thought that. Given what I know about and it's limited, but from what I've heard from the people, we did this research, a year and a half ago, and I talked to a lot of people, 5 or 6 different people who are more familiar with baseball and the Dominican court system, and they were like laughing about it. They're like, I don't even know why he's getting charged. This goes on all the time. The people are paid off, and everybody just moves on. Which, by the way, no aspersions against the DR. Same thing happens in America.
Yeah.
Got news for you. So, but this is, or they don't even get prosecuted in America, as we've seen.
Yeah.
Evidently, human trafficking is okay depending on who you are. So anyway, it's a disgusting story, but it's also a story that is going to play out and have a huge dramatic impact on this Rays organization, whichever way it goes. But I think what is very germane is what the fans think. Are the fans going to stomach having this guy come back and play? And is that fair to him if he's not convicted or if charges are dropped? Because, again, we think we know, but we don't know.
But keep in mind, too, baseball's going to do their own investigation,
right,
aside from the legal investigation. And if baseball says, look, we found some stuff that was sketchy as F, and we're going to suspend him, ban him, whatever, based on his contract and the personal conduct policy, which happens all the time, by the way. Not all the time, but it happens frequently when you're not convicted of something legally, but baseball sees, you know what, we still don't like what you did, so whatever, you're suspended, right? It happens all the time. So that could very well happen. And once that suspension is over and he's a free agent, or he can come back and the Rays still own his rights and they decide no, but then they're still going to have to pay his contract. So at that point, do you just go ahead and play him because you're paying him anyway? Or you make a point, you make a stand, and I'm not saying one or the other is right. I really have no idea. I don't know how I'd feel if it was, my team. But at some point, if it comes out that we don't know what he did, and by popular opinion, he didn't do anything wrong, then where do you go from there? You still want him on your team?
I want the baseball player. I want the baseball player. I guess we all need more facts. We need more facts.
And we probably won't get any more facts.
No. And then again, what's going on in the world today? There's people in very powerful positions that have been accused of the same damn thing, and they're still there.
Yeah.
So take that for what it's worth. And I hate you, John Hill, for asking this question with all my being. Would you rather have Stu as an owner or an innocent Wander playing?
Wow.
Well, define innocent Wander. I could sit here and say, yeah, if he's not charged, I want him to play. And then, 1,000 people come at me, you want a pedophile playing on his team? I'm like, no, I don't want a pedophile. But is he a pedophile? I don't know.
Or is he innocent?
Or is he innocent?
Pedophile if you're innocent.
I mean, and let's not forget that Wander Franco was, and again, I don't want to sound like I'm saying this is okay, but he was 21 years old or 20 years old when he started this relationship.
Yeah. And
the girl was 14. Okay, well, she's, and I'm sure she was purported to be older than that and probably looked older than that, or whatever. I don't know. We don't know. We just don't know. So it's not like, anything I say here is going to sound weird. So the bottom line is you gotta just let the judicial system, however it is, however flawed it is, play out. And then, baseball can do its investigations and we go from there, So it's a really ugly, unseemly situation. And it's funny how the Rays always find themselves here. Isn't it? Isn't that odd? So anyway, we'll see how that
kind of gone away nationally, right? Like I don't see anybody, I don't ever hear about it here in Texas.
No, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Nobody's covering it nationally, which is
and I think also because it's been so long. It's been a long process. This hasn't happened. It happened 2 years and a half ago, and the trial's finally coming to a head. Wander hasn't played in 2 years, 2 seasons. So I think everybody's kind of forgotten about it and moved on, thankfully. But as I outlined, we can think it's no big deal, but it has a huge implication on the sale of this team, how this team moves forward, all that. So
it's part of the finances, yeah.
It's an important story, and we got to follow it. Unfortunately, Nathan Elliott asked, "Will JP be at Metallica this weekend?" That's a no at this point. I'm not a huge, I hate to say this, but I'm not a huge Metallica fan.
You
I'm
know
not
what,
a,
JP? I think I'm right there with you. I think they're a little overrated. And I think they've always been a little overrated.
yeah.
I'm
Right?
right there with you.
It
Like
seems
I enjoy the Black Album as much as the next guy,
but
but
it's not groundbreaking stuff.
no, kind of right there with you. Yeah,
It's
you could
not
not.
like,
Pay, and by the way, you could not pay me to go see one of their shows. I've seen videos of one of their shows. I want no part of that. I'm way too old for that at this point.
yeah, that's the other thing. So I know Jason Light's going to be there, and it's going to be cool to be there, but I'm just not. It's not something I want to.
But he's not going to be among the masses, right? He's going to be in a suite,
Of
probably.
course, he's going to be in the Buck suite. Of course.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
He will
like I
not be
might go
crowd.
then.
He will not. Yes, and I'm about to say he will not be crowd surfing. But then again,
He might.
then again, he might.
He might
He
be.
might. He might get mad at me for saying that. What do you mean I'm not crowd surfing? I'm down on the floor. Because listen, okay, I'm going to recant that. I think he might start in the suite, but I think he might find his way down to the floor. I think he might. I think he'll enjoy some of the accoutrement of the suite, and then go out into the masses.
That's probably
and then,
true. Yeah.
And get back to the suite when it gets too hot.
I just
So
have no desire.
that's what I would do. I would, but not for a Metallica show.
Just no desire.
Yeah. So, yeah, Mike says it's a 3-judge panel, and it could take months, up to 8 months. But the other problem is if it's dismissed, it won't take 8 months. As Hector Gomez says, it might. So, Mike H says also the younger will not say there were relations with Wander.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you got a lot of stuff here, folks, and it ain't pretty. Rick says Franco's trial delayed until all the checks clear. If the charges are dropped, will Wander report to the minor. Will he be allowed in the minors? No, he's banned from the minors. Wow. MLB will discipline Wander either way. I agree with that.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely coming. But again, I don't know what the MLB investigation is going to turn up. And you don't either. I mean, if the girl says they didn't have sex and, they're quote friends and he's paying and he was being extorted by the mother. I mean,
is this a possibility of the most expensive instance of friend zoning ever?
We don't know.
We don't know. We'll never know.
And I, do I think I know? Yeah, I think I know. Does it creep me out? Yes. But that's just what we've read, and Lord knows we don't, that's what's been on social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, if it's on X, it has to be true.
What's that?
If it's on X, it has to be true.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Yeah. Fact finder.
Mike said I was at his last game in August 2023 when he hit a monster walk-off home run. Was that his last game?
The timeline's right.
Oh, his last game he hit a walk-off home run. Yeah, well, I think some of you forget what a great baseball player he is. Not that matters if he did what he is accused of doing, because it doesn't. But James says if he's innocent, he should stay with the Rays. He said, Mike says it's a shame he was the best player I've seen in a long time. He was. James also says, how old was Priscilla Presley when Elvis raised her?
His last game was August 12th, 2023, a 6-5 win over Cleveland. Game 112 of the season.
Mike says, I don't want him back as good as he is. Thomas Casper, who's following the story, says that activist TR prosecutor wants 30 years, same as murder, with no evidence after 2 years.
Wow.
He doesn't have any. He believes that this prosecutor has something out for Wander Franco, and it's all a kangaroo court type deal, which is entirely possible. I don't freaking know.
That happens down there too. It happens here.
It's exactly. Thomas says, what suspension is he on with no pay over a year? Send him to the Dodgers. They'll pay.
Yeah, they don't care in LA.
They'll pay. But what do we get back? You know that Glasnow and Blake Snell are both on the DL right now for a combined $60 million. Holy shizbang. and that doesn't even bother the Rays. Rick says the Epstein Diddy group will trade for Wander. They need a pivot man on the island. Jeez, oh Pete's, Rick. Golly, what's wrong with you?
Made my butt pucker.
All right, well, let's bring in a man who could definitely make sense of this whole thing.
Oh boy!
I thought you were about to say a man that knows all about a butt pucker. So thank you for.
I could have gone a lot of different ways, brother.
Could have.
I was trying to be respectful if I could.
Things
the great
have,
CJ Reeves.
Great to be with you. Things have kind of devolved here into the sarcastic comments and whatever. This is a serious thing, and I will weigh in. How does he ever come back and play here, even if he's somehow exonerated? Don't you have to ship him somewhere and let him have a clean start if he's reinstated? Do you not? Even if you agree to pay part of the money, which they're probably going to have to.
Yeah.
What do you think of that, JP Peterson, on a Tuesday with Wander Franco?
I don't think Stu Sternberg's paying anything to send him anywhere. If he has to pay the money, he's going to play the guy. And they're going to do a massive PR cleanup and blame it all on a rogue prosecutor. And, as much as we think we know what happened, we don't know what happened. We don't.
Well, we do know this. He's involved with, as you said, a 14 or a 15-year-old. He's been gone for the better part of 2 seasons now. This was very well known and should not be swept under the rug or forgotten about. He was hated in the Rays clubhouse by the other Hispanic players. He was ostracized. They couldn't stand him.
Yeah.
In other words, didn't associate with him. They would be in the clubhouse, and media members were observing this. I had 3 or 4 people talk about this. I think you were in there at one point too and saw it, maybe not.
No.
That they would have a group of like a Rosarina, Yandy Diaz, Paredes, 4 or 5 of the Hispanic players that were around, joking, laughing, and Wander Franco is across the room sitting by himself over and over and over again. They wanted nothing to do with him.
Wow.
Because and the reason for that, as I was told by a couple of different people, is he had just completely gone into the stratosphere of, I'm bigger than this. I'm bigger than all of you. I'm making all of my money. My stuff doesn't stink. And he was hated and resented for that, because for several of those guys, they were on like year-to-year contracts.
Yeah.
And we got to win now and try to make our money now. And so from a chemistry standpoint, behind the scenes here, do you want that back in your clubhouse? Do you want to welcome cancer, that circus, back into your clubhouse, even if he is exonerated?
No, I listen, I have my druthers. We move on without him. Absolutely. But what does that mean in terms of the financial impact on this team? If he's quote exonerated and there's a PR rehab project that goes on, can he be traded to another team? Yeah,
I would have. Yes. Yeah. And I would have to think they're having conversations right now, not only internally, but maybe with some other teams, that if he's reinstated, would you be willing to give us something so he gets a fresh start with you? And they're going to have to pay part of it. It's highly unlikely, if not completely unlikely, that another team is going to take on 130 or 140 million or whatever that's going to be left on that contract. Because if my understanding is correct, when he gets reinstated, it gets reinstated into that year of the deal, like year 2 of the deal, even though it's been a couple of years, whatever it is.
Right.
In other words, it doesn't pick up that this is year 5 of the contract, even though he hasn't played the last 2.
Right.
It reinstates. But again, we're all jumping way ahead of, he's got to get exonerated first and not have Major League Baseball lower the boom on him as well. So stay tuned.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to some other things.
Yes.
I haven't gotten any reports yet. You guys can check Twitter yet if Hassan Reddick showed up, but I'm not even going to get honestly too beat up about it, because the word is he's been working out. He's in good shape. He's ready to go. He'll be here for mandatory minicamp, and until he doesn't show up for something mandatory, I ain't going to worry about it. I mean, would I rather have him here? Yes. But I don't think it's we don't know what the situation is. We haven't been told why he missed last week, but evidently
voluntary would be probably one of the words. And Mike Evans wasn't there. Now, again, in Reddick's case, you're trying to make an impression. You're on a 1-year deal.
You got to learn a new system.
But when you're in the voluntary part of this, I know there are a lot of veterans that emphasize this is voluntary and I'll go work out on my own and do my own thing. So I'm with you. Let's wait for the mandatory mini camp. And if he's not there, then why would he not be there then? He understands he's gotten some.
That'll be a problem.
But he's gotten some signing bonus and he understands we talked about this before. He's got a chance to do very well on a renewed deal after this season that they will be negotiating during the season if he's doing well.
Yeah.
To reward him. So, and he's a difference maker and he knows that. And he already played this game and it didn't work with the New York Jets on the I'm going to hold out, I'm not going to show up. And you basically wasted a year chronologically and wasted a year of money doing that. So stay tuned. I think we got to have something to talk about. Go ahead.
I put my thoughts out there on paper, or actually on digital video screen, when I wrote about this a couple of days ago. This was my headline.
Look at how savvy you are.
Stop it. Hassan Reddick missing from Buccaneers OTAs isn't a big deal. I wrote that on May 28th.
You can't write that and say that it isn't a big deal.
It's not
because it's June and we got to have something to talk about that he didn't show up to a voluntary thing as a veteran player.
You clickbaiter.
You can't write it isn't a big deal. Everything is a big deal. The sky is falling.
It's the NFL.
I got some backlash on social media from that. And I'm like, you know what, guys, just in a month, if he's still not there, then we'll talk.
That's different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep the receipts on that, Timmy. I love you for that.
I don't see that coming, by the way.
No.
I don't see that coming. I think he's going to be there. All right. In a related news of a team that obviously the Bucs are chasing, the Detroit Lions, surprise retirement of Frank Ragnow, maybe the best center in the game. This is their Ali Marpet moment, and we know how that went for the Buccaneers. It's a bit of a surprise. Now they've got some, they drafted some guys who play guard and center. I get it, but they're not going to play at the level of Frank Ragnow. That's a hit.
That is a hit, and the trend continues of prominent players that are in their late 20s, not even maybe to 30 or 31 years, that are saying, I'm not going to do this for 4 or 5 more years to my body, to my noodle, to my melon. That was part of it with Ali Marpet. He had suffered a couple of concussions, and he got significantly paid for the time he was here. He won a Super Bowl, and it wasn't any longer about chasing NFL goals. And he's done phenomenal things in this community, by the way, with mental health. And even, you're talking about somebody that's been on the other end of the crisis hotline, went through the training, Ali Marpet we're talking about, and dealing with suicidal people and mental crisis situations as a 911 operator. Hello. So he had bigger aspirations besides just playing football.
Right.
Once his career was over with. But you're seeing this trend with Ragnow or with other offensive linemen or other younger players saying, not going to put my body through it, not going to put my brain through it. I will just take whatever money I had and whatever memories and whatever team unity and what I lived through for a few years, 6 years, 8 years, and that's enough. I'm moving on to life without football.
And that should be a lesson to some of the younger players coming in. Look, if you don't squander all of your money early with your crew, whatever, your posse, I don't know what they call it these days. I'm not hip like
the guys, your boys.
And you can do this. You can retire in your late 20s and be done with the game from a physical standpoint and be set for life with your family.
If you're smart.
And then you get into broadcasting, you get into coaching, whatever else you want to do after that, but you save your body and save your money.
You've paid your penance.
And another part is, you could do work with a foundation in a community, et cetera. You can also start down the road if you want into coaching or working in an organization, which a lot of former players have begun to do. Yeah. So all of those things are still possible where you're not getting hit in the head. So that's a big part of it. So that is a bit surprising though for the Lions, which they come off of a 14-win regular season, and yet you get the feeling that they may have the window closing on them.
Both coordinators gone.
Coordinators are gone to be head coaches elsewhere. Can they Can they take the next step, make it to a Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl before the window completely closes on the Lions? Lions fans aren't going to cop to that. Yeah, they're not going to cop to that.
Listen, they still have, we went over the rosters. On Pewter Report, we did the 5 biggest threats to the Bucs in the NFC. Scott Reynolds and I, and we talked about this roster that remains for the Lions. It's a wagon. They have even without Ragnow, and it's a hit. Every part of it's a hit, but that freaking roster is still really, really good.
But don't you agree with me? They were injured at the end of last year, and it was almost like everybody was ready and expecting for them to be beaten in the first playoff game by whoever played them, and it turned out to be the Commanders. They beat the Bucs, and then they beat them. So it's an odd thing, and now there is an expectation. There's also an argument to be made, and the Buccaneers have to deal with this right now. You are the hunted now. The Lions are the hunted in the NFC North, as comical as that is to maybe utter.
A different deal.
That the Packers, the Bears, the Vikings, they are all chasing after the Lions. The rest of the NFC chasing after the Lions. You're the hunted, and we'll see how it goes for them. So, yes, the NFL never has an offseason. I know you and I have been paying attention, and Timmy, I don't know how much you're paying attention to all of this with the college baseball NCAA tournament and the opening weekend is concluded. We're now, JP, to the super regionals.
Super regionals.
Does that lead to the super duper regionals, or what does that lead to before we get to the college? We only have one more round before we get to the College World Series, right?
Right. Super regionals, and then the 8 super regionals, the winners go to the College World Series. 5 ACC teams remain alive. Florida State will have to go out to Oregon because they seed these teams, I guess, 1 through 16 in the regionals, and then they bracket them up. So, despite the fact that a lot of the favorites have been knocked out in the regional phase, in the not super regional phase, so now FSU has to go all the way out to Corvallis and play Oregon State. FSU is a number 9 seed, Oregon State as an 8 seed. A lot of the unseeded teams are still left. UTSA, how about that? UT San Antonio going to UCLA. Murray State defeated Ole Miss
last night. I watched the end of that game. That? Well, I mean, we should just say this, and I think it's a very valid point. I hope it's a valid point. I'm bringing it up. That for all the talk right now about expand the college football playoff, which they're going to do, to 16 teams from 12. And the SEC and the Big Ten want like 4 or 5 guaranteed spots. They want to keep the other non-Power 5 league teams out of that playoff. The NCAA tournament is looking at expanding, which I don't believe they should do.
No.
But they're looking at expanding by maybe 4 teams or 8 teams. And the 3 of us and the audience, they all know, we all know that if they expand by 4 or they expand by 8, that is to allow either 3 or 7 of the power conferences, the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big East, the ACC, the Big 12. That's to let them in. That's not to let the little guys in. That's not to let the American Athletic Conference or the MAC.
Because we need 16 SEC teams instead of
14. So here's my point. You've got Greg Sankey like banging the drum, the commissioner of the SEC, because they want more spots in these playoffs. And now the worst possible thing that happens for the non-power schools is they start beating all the SEC teams and all the power conference teams.
Right.
You got Wright State going into Nashville and beating Vanderbilt and knocking them out of the tournament. Wright State didn't end up winning the regional, but they knocked them out. East Carolina beat Florida twice. And East Carolina did not end up winning the regional, but they knocked them out. Southern Miss knocked Alabama out. Southern Miss did not win the regional. Miami did last night. Southern Miss knocked Alabama out. UTSA, in your part of the world, Timmy, knocks mighty Texas out of the tournament. Okay, I just gave you like 4, or there you go, horns down. I gave you like 5 examples where programs that are, Wright State's in the Horizon League. Murray State is in the Ohio Valley Cup.
But it's not football.
I'm just saying this doesn't help on the argument of don't let the non-power 5s get in a tournament with us or get in a playoff with us because you're going to take our spots and or beat us.
Well, and that's why I've been talking about this for a couple of days. what came out of the SEC meetings was basically, listen, we're running this show. We now have the power to control the playoff and do whatever the F we want. The other conferences had to vote. Now that's gone. So now it's the SEC and Big Ten can basically decide whether it's going to be a 16-team playoff, it's going to be the 5+11, that's going to be the all at-large bids type. The SEC is going to decide this, and is not good for football. And eventually people are saying the SEC and Big Ten are going to break away, and they're going to add teams to make a super conference. And if you're not in USF or UCF, you're out.
Whomever, right? And
you become second tier, and you become completely irrelevant in the college football and college basketball world. And that, to me, is not good for college athletics as a whole. Because
we're on the road to that, what you just explained. We're apparently on the road to that. And all I'm pointing out here is you gave these smaller conference schools a chance that don't have near the funding, and look at the success they were having this weekend in the baseball tournament. I don't know how many of them, make the College World Series. Several of them, again, didn't even get out of this weekend, but they took down SEC teams in the process, is the point. And now it will narrow down from the super regionals to the College World Series.
Did you guys hear the slip of the tongue? This was a bigger deal in my neck of the woods than it would be for you guys. But Jim Schlossnagle, the Texas head coach who coached A&M the last couple of years, he was signing off from an interview on one of the games, the regional games they had won, and he was like, "Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Hook 'em."
He had a little flub.
He dropped the gig 'em, and then he was like, "Hook 'em."
Yeah, he's been so used to gig 'em.
He's got to put that paycheck like right across his glasses translucently, so he reminds himself like, "Oh, I'm getting paid by Texas now. Hook 'em."
Well, the mere fact that the Texas Longhorns would hire an Aggie at a prominent position tells you the state of affairs right now in the present day of college athletics, because that used to be the biggest.
Oh my God,
loyalty, a big no-no.
Is there loyalty? Is there loyalty?
Now there's not any. They'll do whatever, wherever. So, yes, with college sports. What else, my friend? Anything else going on, including?
How do you feel about Yanni Gourde getting a 6-year lifetime contract?
I agree. I heard what you were saying a little while ago. They obviously know more about that situation than we do. Is he going to play 6 more years? He's a great locker room, or they call it the dressing room, right? In hockey, the dressing room. He's a great dressing room guy. They were energized and enthused to have him back. But Timmy, to your point, if you are preparing yourself for how do we beat the juggernaut right now that is the Florida Panthers, part of that equation is it not that you got to get bigger and more physical if you can. And so, again, with the qualifier, Julian Brisebois and the Lightning Brass know a lot more about what they're doing than what we do. But this is what you do every day, and I participate with you on occasion and in other places. We all have opinions and takes. Clearly, they've got to do something different to be able to beat Florida. We've now seen that. And we said this like 3 weeks ago. We may be looking at them repeating where nobody beat them the last 2 years. So –
And they've run through the playoffs pretty dominantly, as we thought they would.
But they're built big, physical, fast, and that didn't happen overnight. It happened over the course of a couple of years. And look at the benefit that it's paid. So stay tuned. But yes, just overall, it's a little surprising that they would give him a 6-year deal. But again, I don't understand all the nuances. The one thing I do understand is, you have to be under the NHL salary cap 365 days a year, and it's a hard cap with all the moves you're making with the system they have currently. And so this must be a cap-friendly thing for them, that they're projecting 2026. Listen to me making salary cap sense on a Tuesday morning in June. This has to make sense for 2027 for how they've shoehorned that money in for that player to allow them to maneuver everywhere else, because it's different in the NHL. It's not like a post June 1st salary cap cut in the NFL that saves you money. You don't do that in the National Hockey League. So stay tuned. My question is, we have now lived through the better part of 4 decades going back to the early 90s, and a Canadian team has not won the Stanley Cup. Going all the way back to Montreal And that was the Legion of Doom, right, on that line, or
Right.
who was it? John Leclerc, and I'm trying to remember who else from Montreal. Patrick Waugh in goal, beating Wayne Gretzky and the Kings. So fast forward 32 years, the country of Canada has not won the Stanley Cup. J.P. Peterson, Bill Clinton, William Jefferson Clinton had just become president in his first term.
Yeah.
I mean, the internet didn't exist. Cell phones basically didn't exist.
Well, listen, and the only reason that
is Edmonton going to break through circa 2025.
Well, let me fill you in on something, TJ Reed.
Please.
The only reason that they have not won it is because there's lower taxes in Florida. Did you not know this?
I've seen something being proposed on that.
Yes, this is the big reason that nobody's ever wanted Canada, is because their taxes are too high.
Right.
Yeah, that's why. And the players, they can't get players to come there. That's the reason why.
By the way, at least 50% of the NHL, what's the number? Maybe 60% of the NHL is Canadian, which means they're playing in all of the other cities besides Florida, which is your point. They're playing all over America.
And they're getting taxed too. They're getting taxed.
But they're in all these other cities.
By the way, as I told all my Canadian friends, vote for lower taxes. Well, you're allowed to do that. You don't have to keep voting.
And am I not correct? We don't have to go down the rabbit hole, but in Alberta in particular, they're extremely popular where Edmonton and Calgary are. Yes. They are extremely profitable economically, and it may be a different economic situation.
They're much more conservative. Yes. Yeah,
but I don't know how the overall Canadian tax structure works, but I know Alberta is like pissed as a province.
They want to secede from the union and become.
They're paying the freight for so much of the Looney Tune stuff that's going on in the country, and I just wonder: do the Edmonton and Calgary players benefit a little bit, at least, from being in that province?
Probably. Yeah.
Timmy, I heard you say, is this the year? Is this the decade where Canada's going to finally break through with Edmonton beating the Panthers?
I didn't want it to be a Western Canada team, but, Edmonton, that's fine. They're better than Calgary. They're way better than Toronto winning one. We don't ever need Toronto to win another one.
Toronto has to actually get to the Stanley Cup
It should have been my Habs, though. It should have been my Canadiens, les Habitants.
Listen to that.
Well, I can say this, that maybe the NHL will actually finally start calling some of these things on the Panthers in this series. And maybe the NHL says, maybe it's time a Canadian team won, and we're going to be a little bit more, let's say, not as liberal with our swallowing of the whistle.
Right.
With the Panthers. We're going to penalize the hell out of them. Maybe Edmonton.
I haven't seen any indication that they were doing it. I get your point that it's against a Canadian team, that they might do it on the grandest stage, but that series with the Hurricanes, they were doing the same stuff with cheap shots.
I know. But maybe
we didn't talk about this off the air or otherwise, and I haven't talked really about it. Did you see the post handshake with Paul Maurice and Rod Brindamore? That was like icier right now than Putin and Zelensky with the handshake. They were not. I mean, Rod Brindamore was not pleased and was not saying, "We wish you well, my friend." In the Stanley Cup Finals. And
that's why Paul Maurice didn't want to go out there and shake hands, have the coaches go. He doesn't feel like the coaches should be in the line. Yeah, because the players are going to call you out for ordering Code Reds, Paul Maurice. Yeah. You're damn right I did. You're damn right I did.
God.
Yes. Hey, let me just one more quick thing I have to hit you with. So
please.
The Rays, obviously, on the field have turned Steinbrenner Field into they've won their last 3 series there. So suddenly they figured out, and suddenly the other team is bitching and moaning about playing in Steinbrenner Field as the Toronto manager Schneider said, it's too hot. It's too hot for my players. And I guess it was Joe Ryan said, the sun was in my eyes. It was hot. The lights suck. The grass is super bouncy.
Excuses. Am I not correct that the Rays played in Toronto and won either 2 of 3 or 3 of 4 in Toronto?
Yeah.
Just before that series.
Yeah.
And by the way, I was in attendance for the Saturday night win over the Blue Jays, where Junior Caminero hit a ball that almost landed in Carrollwood had it not hit the scoreboard that night. And I gotta say, I mean, the night games are better, and I realize it's going to be scorching hot coming up, and they're going to have rain delays and they're going to have rainouts. But everybody understood what this situation is. Yeah. They don't have a place
outdoor baseball
in the market.
Right. It's outdoor baseball, and it has its positives and it has its negatives.
And you have a lot of outdoor other situations in other parks that don't have retractable roofs. A lot of them are in the Northeast.
Right.
But you have to deal with the heat in the summertime in Cincinnati, in St. Louis, in Philadelphia, in different places where it's going to be hot. So, no, it's not a major league facility with the foul poles and with all the lighting. They've spruced up Steinbrenner Field into arguably the premier spring training facility that there is, and the Rays are making the best of that situation. So,
absolutely. All right, partner.
And by the way, win the game. Stop complaining. Just win the games.
I can't believe these guys are getting paid millions of dollars. It's too hot. I can't play.
Yeah.
It's too hot. I can't play baseball. It's too hot.
You play in the summertime between May and
October. Football outside, for God's sakes, right next door.
Correct.
But I can't play baseball.
My friend, we did not even cover. We got to go. You got to go. I got to go. We did not cover Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. Did you see it?
Oh, I did. Let's take a minute.
Timmy, have you seen it?
No.
Timmy has not seen it. So this is JP and TJ. Go.
Here's my when I walked out of there.
No spoilers. No spoilers. We're not going to give spoilers, at least yet.
It's no spoilers. Stupid. It's stupid.
Stupid because it was too long?
It was stupid because
specifies stupidity. Stupidity
there's
because
no reality
didn't make sense.
There's no reality to it. Like everything that he's doing,
saved the world from oblivion in 5 previous
movies.
Where was the reality? Where was the reality?
And make it a superhero movie. Make it a Marvel, DC, where the guy gets blown up by 6 megaton bombs and comes out fresh as a daisy. So none of it made any sense. The beauty and the greatness of the Mission Impossible plots was he would get out of sticky situations by tricking people, doing things based in reality. These stunts that he's doing, the masks were great. That's what I'm talking about. He would get out of sticky situations by being brilliant or tricking people. These are all stupid superhero, dumbass fighting and stunts.
Are you saying
that make absolutely no sense in reality whatsoever? You can't go down, and you all know that he gets out alive, right? So you can't go down 500 feet in a submarine. And all right, I'm not going to lose it. It's not based in any reality.
I did not know
I got nothing.
I did not know what I was bargaining for when I simply asked the question about the movie. Who knew who woke up savage today about the Mission Impossible Final Reckoning?
Waste the 3 hours of my life.
It is too long without revealing spoilers. They could have easily had like a 2 hour and 15-minute movie. It went 30 minutes more.
Yes.
For God's sake, the finishing scene, the chase scene in the biplanes, we're not revealing anything you haven't seen in the trailer. They're on double wing biplanes from like World War I.
It's dumb.
It went longer than some Hollywood marriages, not your marriages, Timmy, but it went longer.
Pretty short.
It went longer than having to go over your tax return and file your taxes. That scene.
Dumb. It's just dumb. That's my review.
Do you
wait to see it now?
Do you believe that it's the end? That it's the final reckoning and it's the end? Because
God, yes. Please, God, yes.
They left a little door ajar without revealing it, but they left the door ajar.
Well, if they make another one, You're
not going. All right.
I ain't biting. That was ridiculous. Because if you got to keep ramping it up with these ridiculous stunts that have no basis in reality,
on Mission Impossible.
I'm out.
However, you're still in if they make a third Top Gun. If he makes another Top Gun, you're still in.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's already happening. They're
based in reality. That's based in reality.
So you will be in on Top Gun, but you're out on Mission Impossible.
I'm done.
Do y'all know what the budget for Final Reckoning was?
It's like north of $500 million, probably.
$500 million.
Yeah, I believe
for a movie.
Well, the last 3 movies have all made over $700 million worldwide. So they're anticipating this will make 800, 700, 800, 900 million and make their money.
Look, it's worth it. It's you go see it on the big screen.
What do you spend? But just contemplate this as I depart. What do you spend $500 million on?
You make a lot of sets. And you
CGI.
Yeah, and it's incredible. It's incredibly shot, and it's a beautiful movie. Like that's grand. It's big. It's all that. But I just,
Are you saying that they lost it on the realism meter when Haley Atwell had to become a nuclear bomb technician, like instantly?
I just need a little manual. Yeah, it's just
get it done.
Ridiculous.
Just get it done. Listen, I always love being with you on all subjects, whether it's Wander Franco. We went all over the board.
You lit the fuse on my Mission Impossible.
College baseball, we moved it to the Rays, a little Buccaneers, and even JP hammering Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. It's just long. It's too long.
Talk about Tom Cruise that way.
Long and unrealistic. Yes, absolutely.
All right, kids.
My friend, thank you. Thank you for your
Tuesday.
time.
Good to be with you.
Reed,
if you need me, you know where to find me. You guys be well here. Happy summer.
All right, we got to get to a break, for God's sakes. Our first hour is presented by OnSiteConstructionFL.com. Great folks over there. Jason Fawcett's going to be on the show later on this week. So if you have any home improvement questions for him, restoration questions for him, you want looking about building a new home, commercial or residential construction, they are the folks. They get it done. Go to their great website, OnSiteConstructionFL.com. See some of the great pictures of some of their fantastic work, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Finding an honest contractor is not easy, folks. So we've done it for you. OnSiteConstructionFL.com. Go check out all the 5-star reviews. And the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES Lawgroup.com. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Important to get a local place. And they are not using Chat GPT to submit some of their arguments to the court like other big law firms in the state of Florida. You see that? Yeah, they don't do that at the Jeeves Law Group. John Morgan. JeevesLawGroup.com. Back at 3.
Although it may seem tempting to go without health care insurance, the financial risk far outweighs the gain you may experience. For example, did you know if you simply broke your leg, it could cost you nearly $7,500? Put on top of that a hospital stay, you could be looking at $10,000 to $15,000. Ensuring that you don't go uncovered is so important, as according to CNBC, high medical bills are the highest contributing factor to why Americans end up taking money out of their retirement savings, or worse, find themselves filing bankruptcy. So go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. Now, depending on your income, you can get plans for zero premium. Our experts will guide you through the process effortlessly. They will shop many plans and find the one that's right for you. I called and I have full health coverage through Florida Blue for zero monthly premium. It's a free call. So why go uncovered? It's a huge risk. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505. Spring means a time of renewal and Rays baseball, and the folks at Italiano Insurance want to welcome the Rays to Tampa and remind you it's time to renew those insurance policies with the now famous Italiano Insurance Checkup. Let the experienced and friendly agents shop your policy for the best price and coverage. Famous for saving me over $1,000 on our auto insurance last year and over $500 on our homeowners. Now that's a grand slam. Might as well get a double play by adding flood insurance and business insurance to your portfolio. Costs less than you think, and trust me, you do not want to risk your home or personal wealth. That's a big whiff. So step up to the plate and call 813-877-7799 and chat with the all-star agents at Italiano Insurance. 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Rays! JP here for Riveters, our new official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. And just like our show, no BS, no corporate chain feel, just amazing, authentic folks serving great comfort food in a casual atmosphere at unheard of prices. Riveters is located just south of Raymond James and Steinbrenner Field on Dale Mabry, walking distance to the park, so free parking, great place for pregame and postgame. Let's talk about fresh food. Nothing is frozen. Burgers, wings, prime rib, roasted fresh daily, never frozen. That makes a huge difference. The mahi, the salmon, also super fresh. All our sauces are original recipes made in-house. Our Warhawk chili and fully loaded potato soup is made fresh in-house. It's the best food anywhere, served by people who actually care. Riveters on Dale Mabry, just north of 275, just south of where the Bucs and Rays play. We'll see you there. Are you looking to renovate your home, rebuild after the hurricanes, or build your dream home from scratch? Well, let me tell you about my friend Jason Fawcett and On-Site Construction. They have over 1,450 satisfied clients, 25 years of experience, over 500 designs, and a talented team of over 40 construction professionals. They believe building something exceptional begins by truly focusing on all the details, even the smallest ones. We understand that construction can be a daunting process, and we're here to make it as smooth and stress-free as possible. Quality is non-negotiable at On-Site Construction. We use the finest materials, employ the most skilled tradespeople, and adhere to the highest industry standards to deliver a product we're proud of and that you're going to love. Our project management is meticulous with a focus on completing projects on time and on budget. Your happiness is our primary driver. So give us a call at 813-579-5789 or check out our incredible website at onsiteconstructionfl.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show right here on FanStream Sports. JP took himself out and didn't bring himself back in.
I'm in. I count on you to bring me back in. Welcome back. We are brought to you by the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source. June is a whole new month. We've got new birthstones. Moon sight is one of those birthstones. We got all kinds of stuff going on at the Gold and Diamond Source. Obviously, it is the only place to buy a ring if you're in the market for popping the question, like myself and Nick did. We went to the Gold and Diamond Source. They took care of everything. Easy, folks, and even give you free financing for over 5 years. So if you buy a $5,000 diamond, you get an $83 payment interest-free for 5 years. So you're trying to tell your honey that you ain't got the cash right now? You got the cash. You can put it away, buy it on layaway. You don't even have to lay it away. You can get it right now. Interest-free financing. Goldanddiamond.com is the place to go. I was perusing the Twitter machine, the X machine. Our good friends at Pewter Report reporting Levante David and Vita Vea are out at the workouts. There's some video of Abuka making some catches, looking smooth. Benjamin Morrison, as the DBs continue to go through drills early on at Tuesday's practice. No mention from them about Hassan Reddick. Interesting. Let's see what our friend Greg Auman has to say, since we can't be out there. He's always out there. Greg says Luke Gedeke is participating in OTAs today after working on the side last week. Looks like very similar attendance to last week is open to media. Still no Hassan Reddick, but he's been around for other voluntary activities, so not a huge concern. So there you go. Kate Otten, Servassier Dennis, and Antoine Winfield are talking after practice today, as will Todd Bowles, who also was on the Pewter Report podcast yesterday. I have not had a chance to listen to that yet, but I will probably later on today on my drive home to Tallahassee. So, drive home from Tallahassee to Tampa. So, and by the way, Pat Burnham's going to join us here in a little bit from the Osceola, and we're going to give you a little tour of the new stadium. So, thanks to all of our great folks who support the show. Riveters, don't forget to head over to Riveters before all the Rays games and after all the Rays games this week. You can park there and Uber from there if you don't want to spend $50 on parking. You can do that there, have a nice little meal, then head on over to the game. Enjoy some of their great happy hour prices where you can get those chicken wings for $12, 8 big wings. That's a meal, folks. Trust me on that. You can get the buffalo chicken dip for $8. $5 wells. $5 wells. Where do you get $5 wells anymore? and they have a nice pour. By the way, these people aren't. They're not using the shot glass with a.
Not using the jigger, huh?
No, you can't say that word.
It's a free pour.
No, it's a free pour because they have real bartenders that have done it before. Not these,
Not waitresses who are trying to bartend.
I can't stand that. You know how you do a pour? That's a pour.
Right.
And to the top of the shot glass, I'll hit it every single time. It's all timing. It's all timing. It's all in the wrist.
And then you drink.
Or boom. And if you want to, it's.
Miss, could I please get a rum and Coke? Yeah. What's in that?
It ain't like it used to be. Been a lot of that around here. But by the way, I'm up here for a '90s media reunion. We told you yesterday about this. So all the hacks, as we call them, guys, they used to have beat writers, probably 10 to 12 of them. Every major paper in Florida had a beat writer that lived in Tallahassee covering Florida State athletics. And now, you know how many they have? 0.
Oh, wow.
0. Because it's not economically feasible anymore for these newspapers to do it, because they can do it. They can cover the team remotely because all press conferences are streamed live or streamed, on their websites, and they're done. You can't get players one-on-one. We used to sit over here in the Moore Athletic Center, and I would plop down my big 3/4-inch camera and deck and on my tripod, and I have the little mic set up. And Charlie Ward would walk through for lunch. He'd come over and sit with us. No PR people around. There'd be one PR person just kind of helping out, but not like hovering over you like they all have to do these days.
Yeah.
And I understand it. I'm not picking on them. I'm just saying how, the old days
changed.
They don't want to do it. Trust me. They don't want to have to be there for every freaking interview, but it's just the policy now that has to be. And, Warwick Dunn, come on, Derek Brooks, come on over. Coach Andrews, come on over. Call Sue Hall, Bobby Bowden's personal secretary, or walk up there when I walked in. Hey, when's Coach going to be available? All right, hon, let me see. And he's like, come back in about 25 minutes. And, you go up there, sit in the waiting room, then you walk right in. Bobby's at his office. He comes out of his bathroom in his skivvies, sits down, puts the mic on. How you doing, buddy? How you doing? How's your mama?
Those were the days.
How's your mama? Still making that lasagna meatball, Coach. Oh, man, when you brought me that stuff, that was the best meatball I have ever had to this day. Thanks, Coach. They're pretty good. Oh, the good old days, man.
Please put some pants on, Coach.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's all good. And Little Tallahassee was the epicenter of college sports. Florida State was number 1 or between number 1 and 5 for 14 straight years. Never be repeated. The basketball team in the early 90s was a top 10 team, and the baseball team was a top 10 team. So, constantly ESPN, Keith Jackson and Bob Greasy coming to you live from Doak Campbell Stadium. Seminole Saturday nights, 1 versus 2. I mean, this was the epicenter of a lot of big college football events and, regionals back before they had the super regionals. Hauser Stadium would host the regionals. FSU was going to the tournament every year. Their women's sports were kicking ass. So it was the golden age, and that's what we've been celebrating the past few days. Lots of fun. And so and today, all that begets what this has become right behind me, and we're going to show you pictures of it here in a little bit as we wait for Pat Burnham from the Osceola to pop up.
He's ready to go.
Oh, is he? Okay, pop him up. Let's go. I didn't see it because I'm watching. I got 16 different screens up here. What's up, Patrick? How are you, partner?
Doing good, man.
I'm
always early.
I don't know if he can see us. Can you hear us?
See you.
He's in a trance. Is he frozen?
No, he's there. He's talking to you.
Yeah.
I can't hear him.
I'm talking to you.
For some reason, I cannot hear him.
You need me to run the show?
Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him. I hear both of y'all just fine.
Wow. For some reason, I can't hear him. That's odd. We've never had that.
Can you see him?
I can see him. Yeah, I can see him, and he's you know what? Because my phone, for some reason, has him frozen. Let me jump out and jump back in, and we'll see if we can fix it. And you can welcome him in and talk to Patrick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can host the show solo if you need me to.
Absolutely, you sure could. You sure could. How are you, Pat? Welcome into the show.
Oh man, how y'all doing?
Well, we're doing okay. JP's struggling up there in Tallahassee. You know, I don't know if it's Tallahassee internet or phone service or what it is up there.
Well, we are, like JP just said, we are a very small town. Although I thought we got reliable internet by now, but maybe it's the hotel where he's at. But yeah, man, how's everything going in Tampa?
Oh, it's going well. Let's see if he can pop in and hear everybody now. JP, are you here?
I'm here, and I was just hearing Patrick.
I'm right here.
There, now we're good. Now we're good.
There we go.
When in doubt, rebout.
That's
Or
right.
reboot. How are you, partner?
Good, man. Good. Just a beautiful day in Tallahassee. As you know, you've been here for a couple of days, and that's really cool what you guys did. In fact, my father just called and said he loved those guys that covered FSU in the 90s, was good friends with all of them. He used to ride into work with Jerry Cutts on Sundays when Jerry was with Osceola. Jerry would
That's right. We talked about that
with Dad, and Dad would drop Jerry off at the Osceola, and obviously his wife, Jerry's wife at the time, would take him home later that night. But yeah, so I saw Bill Valona. I hadn't seen him in a while. That was a good picture to see. I think Wayne posted it on Facebook, but I didn't realize that was what brought you to town. I'm glad to know that you guys do that.
It was funny because last year they just did the SID people, and I told Wayne, I said, well, why don't we invite the media, all the media, the hacks, and me and Tom Block were like the only TV people that were there. So. But we should invite the coaches too, coaches and players. Let's just do a whole 90s reunion, coaches, players, assistant coaches, everybody had anything to do with the program. Let's just come on back and have another weekend. It was fun. It was really fun to see everybody, and the stories were just crazy.
Well, and those times, like you were saying before I jumped on, those times were so different.
Yeah.
I remember being a teenager and coming down to hang out with the facility and see Dad for a couple minutes and walk around campus, whatever I was doing at the time. And, people sitting in that big old atrium with the snake, with those couches that were snaked on both sides of the elevator, and just people hanging out. Of course, now, unlike you guys, if I saw Coach Bowden coming, I went running. I didn't want him to see me around the facility because I didn't, he was the head coach. And, so that was a different time. And, I remember that old gold building. I remember we pulled up in 1985 and the erector set, and like you were talking about, what that run did for this university and for this program, under Coach Bowden is tremendous. And you see his footprints and the footprints of those dynasty teams everywhere, not only on campus, but around this town. It's funny. I was watching television the other day, and Mickey Andrews pops up on a Ford commercial. Coach Andrews is in his 80s and still very relevant in Tallahassee. Most old coaches kind of disappear,
right?
But not here in Tallahassee. I pass by Coach Bowden's house every day, live a half mile from him, where he used to live, and where Miss Bowden does live. So it's crazy to think about the nostalgia of all that, and I think it's really cool that you guys did that.
Well, it's interesting because what we did in not we in terms of the media, but in terms of FSU, that's when what we call the media rights now, right? How popular is your school? That's what determines whether you're going to get into the super conference or whatever is happening. It determines the revenue that you get. It determines everything. And that was all built in the late 80s and 90s and the early aughts. And of course, it's been carried on through the 2013 national championship that allows them to do what I'm about to show you. And you've been watching this take shape. So we're all going to look at the pictures together. So we took kind of a backstage tour yesterday, and they put the field in, which is nice. So I'll show you that first. So what you're looking at is the new suites downstairs. And, so down below is where there's going to be, I think there's 4 suites down there, where in the club back inside, where that's the real big money people in. And right above that is the club, and then the suites back behind it. And those are, I believe Jerry told me, Jerry Cutts from your boss with the Osceola said those are $8 million each, and they all sold out. Do you know the numbers? And I'm trying to recall them that he told me.
No, I don't. I don't recall. No,
those are the $8 million suites, and then in the lower there'll be chairbacks down there, and then there's chairbacks right above it too. So the whole from 20 to 20 has been ripped out, and this is all now premium seating.
Yeah.
And from what Jerry was telling me, they're telling me there was $1,250 tickets. I think that's the lower level. And then up the next one's up, or I think $600 a ticket, plus your donation to the, I mean, all that. I mean, the revenue that's going to come from this is insane, but also the prices are insane. I mean, have you get a sense from, and I think he told me that back in maybe the 90s or maybe even the early aughts, that about 50 or 70% of the ticket buyers were from Tallahassee. And now it's 30%.
Yeah.
So this has become a weekend activity.
Listen, the changes look great. I'm sure there's a rhyme and reason they've done them. But to your point, with the prices they put on these tickets, they better win or they're not going to sell. They better win some ball games, or those seats will be empty. Listen, I'm for whatever. Listen, I don't do the studies, I don't do the research, but the stat that you just said, the core of Florida State's fan base is from Tallahassee.
Yeah,
and always has been. And Tallahassee is a blue collar town. I hope Florida State has enough success that they can put all the butts in the seats that they want. But if they can't, the people that have supported this program for a long time have been priced out of the market. That's my only concern. And listen, and more people are watching it on television, and they needed to shrink the footprint of that stadium. There's no you don't get 80,000 people to Tallahassee on a regular basis, just because of it's not close to anywhere, right? I mean, you're 3 hours from Pensacola, you're 4 hours from Tampa. So anyway, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like in person in August.
Now here's a little panning of the whole stadium. By the way, the end zone, the Champions Club in the end zone is also being redone.
Yep.
And there's so those are all premium seats over there that they're redoing. So that's another level as well. Let me see what else. We also got a tour of the locker room. I don't know if this is totally new. I think it's new in the last couple of years. Here's a little peek. This is they have all the All-Americans, Heisman Trophy winners. Check out these lockers. There's and these lockers are unbelievable. Do you have this when you played?
Our lockers at Sanford were not even enclosed. They were wood with pegs on them. And there were about 150 of us slammed into a room built for 75. Yeah. Totally.
Even the old FSU lockers were.
Yeah, that's nothing like the old FSU locker room, and that was nice at the time. So it's amazing what they do, and I'm assuming that they are.
Here's what they didn't do last year, so they put it up on the wall just to remind the players.
They might want to put exclamation points after each one of those.
Sorry, cheap shot. Had to do it though. Yeah, had to do it.
Listen, I think I guess they're going to keep that as the game day locker room and still have a locker room in the football ops building for practice.
Right.
I guess that's what they're going to do. And I talked to a recruit on Sunday who got a chance to go into the football ops building and a high school coach who was here with another kid, and they were both raving about it. And I can't wait to see what that thing looks like.
Yeah, I didn't put it on here. I put it on my social media just overlooking what it looks like right now, and it's still under construction. They said it's going to be ready in September, and most half of it's already done, but they got another half to do. But it looks amazing, and with the indoor facility behind it. And Pat, we have to say this: as much as we bitch about Jimbo, he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. All the things that he wanted. And the way he went about it was maybe not the best way to go about it, but he wasn't wrong. If you want to compete with the big boys, this is what you got to build. This is what college football is. And I think Jerry told me that they've gone from $200 million in debt service to $600 million with all the new things that they built. So, like you said, they better win. They better win because they're betting a lot on it.
Listen, but the additions do look great, and just the campus has changed so much since you and I were in college.
Oh my God,
JP. I mean,
yes.
And that stadium is something else. There are days that I wish for the simpler times of the '80s and '90s, but listen, if you've if you got the money to spend, it's going to be a hell of a place to watch a football game.
So here's a little trip. If you're a football player, going down the tunnel, this is what you see. I'm even adding a soundtrack to it as I walk.
Do you have the war chant going?
Yeah, that's me. Don't. So you walk through here, and there's fans on both sides, by the way, right here. You can hear the drum, right? Coming out to this. Yeah, this is pretty cool. There's a spear above you that's all lit up, and then you walk out to that, like, holy shizbang. Yeah.
That place is going to be popping on August 30th. I can tell you.
Coming through that tunnel on August 30th.
Yes.
Yeah, man. It's it gives you chills just even when it's empty like that. And listen, I know Florida's going to do something similar. They're ripping up their stadium to put in premium seating as well. So this is the wave of the future. But $25 tickets for games are gone. Maybe scalping at the end of the season. Who knows? But the season ticket holders are getting, soaked, and most of them are from out of town. So as you said, you got to win, and a lot of this stuff is kind of paid for before the season starts. So
definitely.
I think we have to say, I think Mike Alford has done a great job, and I know it pisses off a lot of people who have been season ticket holders for a long time that live in Tallahassee. I know a lot of them that got their seats displaced and couldn't afford these new tickets. That it just is what it is. It's kind of the cost of doing business in college football right now. And a lot of these, the ADs don't know where it's going, and they're just trying to find as much revenue as they possibly can. And whether it's a lawsuit against the ACC or doing things like this that are sometimes unpopular with some of the fans, I think it's necessary to compete with the big boys. Would you agree?
Yeah. Listen, they're doing what they think they have to do to remain competitive and to be out in front. And listen, things change. There are a lot of things that have changed over 20 years that are good, and a lot of things that have changed over 20, 25 years that are bad, depending on your perspective. But listen, this was researched thoroughly. And was not, listen, I'm sure that at the end of the day, they feel bad about the people that have been displaced, but at the end of the day, this is a business. And Florida State fans do want the program to be successful, and this is what the leadership thought they needed to do for it to be successful. So you've got to trust from the people that the university has hired that they're going to do the best thing for the long-term future of the program, and I think that's why they did this.
Yeah. I totally agree. All right, let's talk about something better than most, and that's this actual team. We just saw Tommy Castellanos' locker there.
Yeah.
Jerry and I were talking about something yesterday on the show that I think is of the utmost importance, and that's leadership on the team, on the field. It was the complete vacuum last year. There were no leaders, and I think it was a big reason that they were 2-10. Tommy Castellanos has been there. He's done it as a starting quarterback at Boston College. He knows what leadership is about, and I think from what I've heard, he's doing a great job in that regard. What have you heard about Castellanos?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard, I think that's been the standard message that, and listen, you got to be careful because most of this is coming from inside the building. And, I know that Mike came out a couple weeks ago and said he was going to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football, and people got all excited. And I said, well, go back and read what he said about DJU the year before. But yeah, listen, Castellanos is going to be one of the most electric offensive players in college football next year. Certainly based on what we've heard players say, he has been leading, and you would expect he's a fifth-year guy. This is his last year, limited to success in college as a team player, had some individual success statistically. But yeah, everything you hear about Tommy is outstanding from a leadership standpoint. He certainly, in the one practice we got to see in the spring, showed leadership capabilities. And he's going to be one of the most electric players athletically, physically in college football. The question with Castellanos to me is which team does he shock the most? Does he shock his own team with these massive amount of turnovers that he's had over the course of his career, 31 in 2 years, or does he shock the opposition with these unbelievable plays that he's able to make, not only with his feet but off play action passing? And so I think he's got a chance to be a guy that can help Florida State get back to going in the direction it needs to go. But he's going to have some help. But yeah, everything you hear about Tommy Castellanos has been good. I remember doing a film evaluation of Tommy as a high school player when he got offered by Florida State, and I wanted to sign him as a slot receiver. Of course, he wanted to go somewhere as a quarterback and sign at UCF. Ended up transferring to Boston College, and he's going to get to play quarterback at Florida State. So good on him for being patient and going to a place that afforded him the opportunity to play the position he wanted to play. But I'm kind of neutral on this. People either love the take or hate the take. I think it could be a great take if they can get the turnovers out of him. It could be a horrible take if they can't, because then it's a bad season and all the stuff that comes with another bad season is going to be filling the airways. But I cannot wait to see what this kid can do with this rebuilt offense.
All right, and that starts with the offensive line. And again, you guys didn't get to watch practice, and they're going up against a defense that wasn't that good last year in practice. So what can we glean about this offensive line? The good news is there's new coaching. There's a lot of new guys, and it's not what we saw last year for the most part.
Well, listen, I think what they had to do, what they did in the portal with the offensive line, you bring in 4 legit day one starters in Gunnar Hansen, Adrian Medley, Luke Pettibon, and Richie Leonard. Micah Pettis, and then you insert either Richie Leonard or Bryson Estes or one of the other guys as your fourth or your fifth starter, the other guard. You bring in Herb Hand, who is an excellent offensive line coach, who's got an excellent track record, not only on the field with his players and development, but also on the recruiting trail. We're already seeing the benefits of that.
That's huge.
And I've known Herb for a long time, so I'm probably a little bit biased. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a hell of a football coach. The people that I know in the world of college football all echo the same sentiment about Herb. So I think you get an upgrade as a coach, and clearly you're getting upgrades at each position outside of your one guard position, where either Richie Leonard, Andre Otto, Bryson Estes will compete. Because JP, if the guy coming back, had he not transferred out, the guy that had the most reps for Florida State, TJ Ferguson, transferred out of the program post-spring, he only played 400 snaps. So you have been playing a very inexperienced offensive line behind a quarterback that doesn't have the greatest track record from turnovers if they had not hit what we think are home runs in the portal in the offensive line. And then you got some young players that are developing, the Jonathan Daniels, Andre Otto. So I think they are going to be better on the offensive line. I don't know if they could have been any worse, to be quite honest with you, but no. I like what they've done. You got some experience, and you got a new leader, and Coach Hand leading that group. And nothing against Alex Atkins, but I think they upgraded certainly at the offensive line with who they brought in, those 4 core guys that will make up the offensive line, all starters, multiple year starters, most of them, out of Hansen, Medley, Pettibon, and Pettis. And so I think they upgraded all around the offensive line, coaches, players.
All right, so now we move on to receivers who couldn't catch a freaking cold last year, but they're different guys. You got Squirrel White from Tennessee, Deuce Robinson from USC, I believe. Yep. And some other guys. So we've revamped the entire wide receiver room, and that was needed as well.
Well, yeah, and listen, I do think you're going to hear a lot about the fact that they didn't really care about Hakeem Williams leaving, or, obviously Jaylen Brown got in trouble and had to, was kind of vanished from the program. I think they were, and of course the JUCO guy they brought in, Jordan Scott, didn't even last through spring practice before he announced he was going in the portal. So they got caught off guard by that a little bit. They're going to spin it the way they're going to spin it. I don't think that. I think wide receiver is a very it's going to be interesting to see what happens at wide receiver. You brought in Gavin Blackwell from North Carolina, who had not had much success at North Carolina. He's going to be able to come in here and compete for a starting job. Listen, I talked to a former FSU player who was at practice. He's told me that Deuce Robinson is legit. I respect this guy's opinion. He was a good player. He's a good coach, coaches high school ball and has for a long time. I think he knows what he's looking at. But even Deuce does not have a long track record in college, right? So the only guy you've really got that's proven in that room is Squirrel Wright. And he has a chance to be an outstanding receiver. Now, I think the practice we saw, Elijah Moore looked pretty good. We've heard good things about Javon Boggs, who did not practice in the scrimmage that we were at, nor did Robinson, nor did White, nor did McCoy. So we didn't get to see a whole lot. But listen, if Deuce Robinson and Squirrel Wright can step up and play, Squirrel just be as productive as he was at Tennessee, Deuce live up to his billing, I think he got a chance to find that third guy. But I think they're very, very thin at wide receiver from a depth standpoint, certainly from a proven depth standpoint. So you're going to need somebody out of that group to step up and finally do what they were brought in to do. But I think the biggest hit on this entire team is depth. I think that could be an issue for them. But, yeah, wide receiver to me is a big, big question mark heading into this season.
What about Jalen Lucas? We got a peek at him last year, and we there were high hopes for him.
Yeah,
he's in the running back room now, I think. But there was talk about him playing slot receiver. He's an explosive weapon, as a receiver, running back. Will he get some touches? You think? Yeah,
listen, I think with where they are in the running back room, particularly after taking Gavin Sawchuk from Oklahoma in the portal, I think that it almost necessitates that from where they are with the receivers. Listen, if you go back and look, and he didn't play very much last year. I think Jalen played in 3 or 4 games before he got hurt. He played 16 total snaps from scrimmage. 9 of those were at slot. 7 of those were at running back. I think that where he's going to be a gadget guy. If I had to bet, even though everyone that covers the program, including us, lists him as a running back, I think he will play the majority of his snaps at slot receiver. Because, listen, you've got a crowded running back room now with Sawchuk, Williams, Cam Davis, Holmes, Singleton, and now Crowma comes into the picture.
Yeah.
So I think Jalen Lucas is going to be a gadget guy. I think he is going to be your MacGyver, your Swiss Army knife, whatever you want to call him. I think they could line him up in the backfield if they want to. I think he'll take most of his snaps in the slot. You can even line him up at Wildcat. But, listen, I was certainly a fan of his going into last year. I didn't think they used him effectively in the Georgia Tech game. He only got touches. His snap count was very weird in that game. Florida State snap count at running back has always been weird with the guy they got.
Not the rotation just doesn't work.
But I think you'll see less if you go back and look at the PFF stats at UCF from last year. Their backup running back, I think, was less than 200 snaps total for the season. So I think Gus Malzahn is going to find a workhorse, and whether that's Sawchuk or Williams or Davis or whoever it turns out to be, I don't think we will see as much rotation at running back. Like I think in the Georgia Tech game last year, they played 5 different running backs in the first half. Like it's just I don't get it. And I understand you got to keep people happy in the air.
It's more about retaining players than winning games.
But I think so. My point to you is yes, I cannot wait to see what they do with Jalen Lucas, and I do think he will line up all over the place.
All right, a couple minutes left. Let's do some defense here. Tony White's coming in from Nebraska with a whole new scheme. This 3-5, kind of more of a positionless defense.
Yeah.
But which is good. That's where everything's going. But there's some talent here, right? And he brought some with him.
Yeah, listen, I'm more impressed with the guys that did not come from Nebraska than the guys that did come from Nebraska.
Okay. Right.
I know that James Williams gets all the fanfare, the big defensive end from Nebraska. But listen, he was a situational player last year at Nebraska. He was a third down and long pass rush guy. He did not play a ton of snaps. The kid that really impressed me is DeMonte Diggs, the kid from Coastal Carolina, who had played at, I believe, Youngstown State before that. I really liked what I saw out of him in the scrimmage. Obviously Daryl Jackson's got to step it up and have one of the best years of his life. We didn't get to see Jason Jackson, and I like what I saw from Deontay McCray, the kid from Western Kentucky, on film.
Yeah.
The big thing there on the defensive line is depth. No proven depth. Can Jason Jenkins from Tennessee come back from whatever his injury was? But I really like Diggs. And I really like McCray. But they don't have a lot
win. The true freshman win from
Yeah,
Georgia.
I think I mean he is a true freshman. I don't know that he's ready to play. We've got him listed as a third team nose tackle heading into the season. Listen, but KJ's not proven anything yet. And Ty Copeland hasn't either, so he could be the backup eventually to Daryl Jackson at that nose tackle, defensive tackle position. And listen, they're going to play some four-man front on this thing. So everybody hears the 3-3-5, and this is a poor man's Joe Lee Dunn defense. They're going to move people around. Right. They're going to show people safeties at the second level and back them out. They're going to show linebackers. They're going to walk them up to the in the box and up to the line of scrimmage, and they're going to bail. They're going to bring two people, send two people back. It's going to be a lot of eye candy defensively for Florida State.
I like that.
Now, I really like the Herring take from Memphis via Tennessee. He was a leading tackler at Tennessee 2 years ago. He made some really nice plays in the scrimmage we saw. So I think you're going to be better at linebacker. I really like where Omar Graham is going with his career. He is, towards the end of last year, just got better and better and had a really good spring based on what we saw and what we heard. Again, I think that Blake Nicholson will end up being the starter in a true three linebacker set. Stephen Thompson, they brought him from Nebraska, but he was a backup last year at Nebraska. He was not a starter, has not started since he was at Syracuse with Tony White. But he is a guy that can help these other kids learn the intricacies of his system. But again, who's going to be behind him? Now, listen, the one kid I am fired, I should have mentioned him. We got him listed as a jack, which is the pass rush specialist, is Amari Williams. We can't forget about Amari.
Right.
He had a great year at tight end last year, moved out to defensive end and over to the other side of the ball. They say they're going to play him at tight end. I don't think they can afford to with where they are on the defensive line depth. I think he's going to have to be a guy that plays a significant amount of defensive reps for Florida State. And then the secondary, I think the biggest question you had there was corner, and they addressed it by going out and getting Jeremiah Wilson from Houston. Listen, I think they would have liked to have gotten a safety. They didn't. I think they wanted somebody to come in and compete with Shaheem. They could not do that. Shaheem has not been a very solid tackler. The things they're saying about Earl Little, who looks like he's going to be the rover, which is probably the most important player in that defense. He had a great spring. We'll see what happens at the other cornerback spot. I think it's going to be Quindarius Jones. There are a lot of people think it's going to be Rawls or Lester. Then I think Edwin Joseph's got a chance to be a really, really good player if he just matures and grows into the system. So, listen, I think I'm worried about depth throughout the any position group you talk about. I'm worried about depth. Whether it's quarterback on down, you got question marks everywhere. And then, listen, the schedule sets up good for them. At worst, they should be 2-1 out of the first 3 weeks and have, you've got Alabama, East Texas A&M, Kent State, and then Virginia in the month of September. Worst case scenario should be 3-1 coming out of that. And then it's about what you do with those other 8 games, and you got to win 3 of those 8. And, I think when we look at the schedule, I think we get too caught up in brand because I've had too many people say Florida State's going to go 10-2 this year, and they just look at brands. You got to remember you've got a chance now to rebuild your team every year, and the one thing that we hate about college football, a lot of us, is the portal. But it's the one thing that's given Florida State a chance to get out of this hole it's mired in. But it also means you don't know. You can't look at the decal on Virginia's helmet and say, oh, Florida State's better than them because we have the arrow and they have the swords, and the arrow has always been better than the swords. Well, they brought in a transfer quarterback as well this offseason. what if they got it right and Florida State got it wrong? So
it's too much volatility. I think, what is it, 47 new players for FSU this year on the roster?
Yeah.
47? Yeah, it's the volatility in the roster is going to give you the volatility from year to year. You don't know.
Yeah.
Witness 13-0 to 2-10.
And then who the hell knows what Florida's going to be like by the time they get is Florida the team that everybody thinks they are, a top 20 team, or did they fall, or by the end of the year they beat up and can't compete? Virginia Tech, does that quarterback finally have his breakout year? Kyron Drones is very talented physically, but a lot of people are thinking that that guy's on the ropes this year as the head coach, and then you got to go to NC State, and it's a night. It's already been announced as a night game. It's a Friday night game, and so what happened? That's a different place to play, and can they rebound? They were really bad on defense last year. They had some key injuries, but I think listen, I've got them. I said, I've always said 6-6, 7-5 baseline with plus or minus 2 on either side of that. So, I could see anything happening in this.
Those prices, you better get to at least 8 wins. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to ask you this question because we've been having this question a lot, and it's caused a lot of debates internally with the guys I work with and sitting around drinking beers with the boys on Thursday nights. Do you think there's a magic number for Mike?
My sense is he has the real support of management. I think Mike Alford believes in him tremendously. I think, and that's what counts the most, really. And I think, I don't think he gets fired after. Now, if they go 2-10, yes, he's out. I think anything less than if it's 4 wins or less, I don't think he can survive that. Not with what's on the table. There's no. When he walks into that stadium and sees $200 million and another $200 million in the football only facility, that comes with a price. And if you don't win 6 games, you can't be the coach at Florida State University. It's that simple. If you can't make it to a bowl, you can't be the coach at FSU. So I think in this space we're in with the buyout and everything else, I think it's going to be tough to can him after this season. But if he doesn't have a 10-win season or a 9-win season, he's got to compete for the ACC championship either one of these years, and certainly in 2 years. If there's not more stability to the program after this season, if he's still bringing in 47 new players every year after this season, I think he's going to be on thin ice. I think he'll be on. So
you don't think there's a magic number this year?
I mean, if it's 4 or less, I think he's fired.
All right, so the interesting situation to me is, of course, and this is talking season. That's all we do is talk about football and other sports. Right. All right, so the interesting thing to me is if Florida State is 5-6 going into the Florida game.
Oh, God.
All right, because, JP, if you're going to make the change, you got to know you're going to make the change before the portal opens. So right. I think there's almost no chance unless what you say it's 4-8 and it's a disaster is 4-8.
Yeah.
But because the change got to take place, you got to know you're making a change before. So I think just the way it works out, unless the optics of it, and optics matter in today's society more than they've ever mattered at any time in college sports. So I agree with what as the more we have these conversations, the more I have them with people that obviously I value their opinions. You and Jerry and I have had this conversation a ton. I do think that he is going to get the benefit of the doubt if it's anywhere close, right? Because of the timing of when you would have to make a change. Yeah. Well, the buyout certainly, the finances work on his side. There's no doubt about that.
Right, so, absolutely.
Yeah, and listen, that's all we're going to talk about between now and December.
Yeah, it's a great conversation. Yeah. It's a fair conversation to have.
By the way, we are a Tampa show. I don't know if you saw this, but South Florida has announced his 2025 Hall of Fame club.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
And so
Jim Levitt is in.
I want to congratulate Kawika Mitchell, one of the best linebackers that's ever played probably any university in the state of Florida, and had a great career with the Giants. And of course,
I agree.
Then of course, my former boss Jim Levitt was. I didn't see that one coming, but listen, he deserves it. I mean, he did go and took that program from scratch, and trailers outside the locker room. I mean, the trailers for locker rooms, for coaches' offices, and he deserves that. I know it was a weird ending, but congratulations to Coach Levitt if you're listening. Hope you're enjoying Tampa. But yeah, man, crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. He long overdue. Long overdue. The healing has happened, and it's long overdue. So good to have it. All right, Pat, tell everybody how they can get your content at the Osceola.
Yeah, go to theosceola.com or floridastate.rivals.com. We've got a ton of information on the official visits that Florida State had this weekend for football. Official visit season is here. They had 6 kids in there. Had a kid from Tampa Berkeley Prep, Johnny Jones Jr., whose father played at South Florida, as a matter of fact, and I talked to senior on Sunday. But we've got all their post-visit comments at theosceola.com or Florida State.
Check that out tonight. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate it. Hey, we'll see you at lunch, 12:15, Matzo.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, see you there. Thank you, Pat Burnham. Anybody else who wants to join us? It's on Pat.
I'll be there.
Mike, you still there?
Yeah.
I can't hear you, Timmy.
Can't hear me now? I don't know what's happening. It's your internet.
All right, we got to take a break. I know that. So if you can hear me, hit the break button. We'll be back, and I want to get some of these final comments in here when we return. Quick break.
Hey, JP here for my concierge medical professional, Chris Lugo, PA. You've heard him on the show for a couple of years where he shares invaluable medical, nutritional, and supplement advice. With Chris, it's like having a medical provider as your best friend. What I love about this concierge service is the convenience and support he offers. I can text or call him 24/7 with any questions or concerns, and he'll promptly call in a prescription if needed. No office visits or copays required. It gives me peace of mind knowing I have someone genuinely invested in my health, not just focused on insurance profits. And the best part, the Bay Area Modern Medical Center's personal concierge service is more affordable than you might think. Don't let insurance companies dictate your health care. Take control of your health and wellness today. Visit BAMMC.com for more information and to schedule your initial free consultation. Empower yourself and take charge of your personal health with BAMMC.com. JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. You know, we told you about the amazing Diamond Savings Account where your diamond never loses its value. Well, now, through the end of May, the Gold and Diamond Source will double your trade-in value up to $2,500. Just bring in your jewelry to trade and your $2,500 piece turns into $5,000. It's time to upgrade that ring, earrings, whatever. We have gemologists on site to make the deal. Double your trade value up to $2,500. Gets you $5,000 to spend. So go through your jewelry box and get that stuff you never wear and get something new and stylish that you're going to love. Great experience, and we will double your trade-in now till the end of May. We can finance you as well. No interest for 5 years. Only at the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road. Always online at goldanddiamond.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, are you going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show? It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES. Hey, Tampa Bay, it's time to get your AC unit ready for summer. And here at Third Generation Plumbing and Mechanical, we recommend getting ahead of the game, keeping your family cool before the hot summer months with one of our maintenance agreements in the hopes of avoiding the dreaded emergency service call. Our maintenance agreements include we'll test the electrical components, check and tighten high and low voltage wire connections. We'll check the refrigerant for manufacturer's performance levels, test thermostats, calibrate if needed, clean the evaporator coil and condenser coil, and clear and treat the drain line and drain pans. Just call us at 813-961-8024 for the special rates, and a human will actually answer. 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Brought to you by the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source. Tim looks frozen, but something's weird happening on this show today. I don't know.
Can you hear me or no?
There you are. I can see you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Everybody can hear you just fine.
Yeah, I can't hear you. I cannot hear you.
It's all on your side.
Unfortunately. All right, let me go. Let me go out and come back in. Let me do my golden.
It's all on JP's side, guys. I promise you. I'm going to put that up on the screen. It's JP's fault. It's JP's fault. Where are you? Can you hear us now?
Yeah, it's something weird going on with the StreamYard technology today. We love you, StreamYard, most days, but
are you on your phone?
Yeah, I'm on my phone. Yes, but I also have my
probably part of the problem.
You
don't have a laptop with you?
I do, but the laptop camera sucks. So that's why. But anyway, I want to remind you about the Gold and Diamond Source. It's a great summer to head on over there to the Gold and Diamond Source. It's June. The birthstones are pearl, alexandrite, and moonstone. You need a moonstone in your collection is what you need. Each gemstone carries its own unique significance and style, making them perfect for the summer occasions. It's the 30th anniversary, of course, at the Gold and Diamond Source. So get over there, enjoy their 0% financing for 5 years. That means you buy a ring for $5,000. You pay $83 a month. Isn't she worth that? You're damn right she is. Shop online, get 15% off the June birthstones, including pearl, alexandrite, and moonstone. So head on over to the Gold and Diamond Source. See that great selection over there. Buy you something nice for Father's Day. Buy yourself something nice for Father's Day, or have your wife go over there, buy you something nice for Father's Day. So the Gold and Diamond Source, get a great watch, bracelet, get a nice necklace, whatever. It's the Gold and Diamond Source. Right over there, 3800 Ulmerton Road. All right.
Do they have girlfriends there?
What's that?
Do they have girlfriends there that I can just go?
Yes, they do. They have a beautiful staff. A beautiful staff, the ladies. I don't know if they're single, but
I need to find a Tampa girlfriend for when I come to Tampa.
All right. Well, go to the Gold and Diamond Source. If you don't, and then you can like see some of the great staff there and say, "Are you single? And what can I buy you here?"
Yeah. After our 10th date.
Like, absolutely.
Gotta make it official.
Half of that $500 million went to Tom Cruise plastic surgery. You know, he did something before the movie, which was interesting. Best show in Tampa, says Joey Wendell. Thanks, Joey Wendell.
Thank you, Joey.
Is that like the Joey Wendell? They used to play for the Rays? That Joey Wendell?
Looks like it.
He's playing baseball.
Yeah.
Dang, Joey, let's get you on the show. Rick says long and unrealistic. We're talking about Mission Impossible. I've heard that during my movie shoots. Yes. Your softboard shoots.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Lonnie Wilkins said, JP, did you hear about the chaos at the Trop yard sale? Yes, I did. We talked about it yesterday. Typical Rays BS. It was unbelievable. Yeah. Now, we're not casting aspersions against the hardworking Rays people that were forced to work under those conditions.
No.
Just the poor setup and management, which is par for the course. Robert Brooks says JP is, I think he meant JP, not JT, is channeling his Clydes and Costello days. 4-for-1 Thursday. Oh, yeah, baby. 4-for-1 Costellos. Legendary in the 80s. I mean, can you imagine being in college, 4-for-1, and it's probably 7 girls to every 2 guys at Florida State University, and not just quantity, folks. We're talking quality. This is back when you could get in with an 800 SAT, so idiots like me could get in. Mike H says, can the Rays still trade Wander for a bunch of prospects if he's found not guilty in Dominica? I don't see why not.
You gotta have a partner.
Yeah, who's going to take him? Right?
Yankees.
Nathan Elliott says JP makes Bobby Bowden sound like wrestler Dusty Rhodes. Shut up. My Bobby Bowden is spot on. Where's Deckerhoff? I don't know where Deckerhoff was this weekend. I'm very disappointed. I thought he was going to stop by, but he did not. There are plenty of Deckerhoff stories that were traded, and I cannot repeat most of them on this particular show. Trade Trey Palmer to Steelers for future draft pick. That sounds good, Johnny. Let's do that. Mike says 2-12. 2-12. Well, first of all, you can't go 2-12.
So we need to. We're gonna get into the Trey Palmer Steelers thing because that's a real thing. The Steelers have reportedly been in contact with the Bucs about Trey Palmer, and we don't have time today. But I want to get into it. We'll talk about it a little bit tomorrow.
Yeah,
I have thoughts on that.
Send us TJ Watt.
No,
that's not happening.
Mid-round draft pick.
Okay. Well, you can.
Was it going to be TJ Watt?
Was it going to be TJ? Yeah, gummit.
Because you got to pay him. He wants a contract. JP Bucs don't have money to pay.
We got room. We got $38 million in cap space, baby.
It's not enough for TJ Watt.
Probably not. And Luke Gedeke and
everybody else. Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we good. If Hassan Reddick decides to freaking show up, we'll be here. All right. Thank you to the great Pat Burnham, who ran down all the great FSU stuff. That was kind of fun. Hope you enjoyed that, FSU fans.
Yeah.
Thanks to TJ Reeves, who's always awesome. We always have fun with him. And great job, Timmy, as well. Thank you, all your commenters that jumped in today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and always check in on our social media. Please like and subscribe there as well. We will see you tomorrow live from the Tampa studio. See you then.